Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1970's Machine Animal, as part of the Stray Cat Rock series. There are 5 films in this series, and this is the 4th one called Machine Animal. And all of these, I haven't got to the 5th one yet, but all of these, I believe, star Miko Kaji, who is on the front here. Miko Kaji. Machine Animal. Now, the most fascinating thing is I've gotten through 4 films of these, and they've all made in the same year, 1970, and maybe all 5 of them were. So I'm going to find that out. But you can find my reviews for the other 3, for all the other Stray Cat Rocks on this YouTube page as well. Machine Animal at the focal point of this film is drugs, is LSD, mixing also with the kind of the fears at that time of draft dodging and the Vietnam War, also mixed with race relations. Once again, like the previous Stray Cat Rock film, Sex Hunter. So you're mixing these things together and mixing it with, of course, the girl gang, and in this particular case, really versus a guy gang in the film, as well as some foreigners. In Sex Hunter, they called them half breeds, and in this film, they have their own name for them as well. And they're basically mixes, foreigners, even some white people, and there's this element of freedom from Japan and freedom from all that enslaves. Drugs are at the core of this film, LSD in particular, and this is a film that's filled with motorcycle racing and wild twists and turns, and where is it now? That kind of idea, as as drugs keep getting changed hands to hands to hands to hands to hands to hands, and it becomes a wild journey, a wild adventure, only through a few locations, but mixed with heavy, intensive, wild journeys through this storyline involving drugs at the core. So let's get into the Machine Animal, Stray Cat Rock, and let's start off with the music in this film. The music in this film, you got the just prime, awesome. I mean, first off, let me say this: Machine Animal is prime 70s exploitation fodder right here. If you like 70s exploitation films, Machine Animal is definitely for you. It has all the seedy underbelly of the city and of drugs and crime and gangs and, and violence. But this is not a film that has nudity or has, kind of sexploitation. This is not a Roman porno or really like the Pinky films that with Miki Sugimoto and Riko Iki and stuff like that. It's not like that. But it has prime exploitation in the story and in the wildness of the style and of the chases and the violence and the gangs and the seedy underbelly of crime. So the music in this film, you have that 70s exploitation, jazzy, groovy, borderline disco-y funk, and mixed with 70s psychedelic rock also. Now, in one sequence of the film, we even have a character who, in this film, music plays a very big role to identify 2 particular characters. One character has that mouth guitar, like I don't know what that's called. I forget what that's called. One character is represented by that instrument, and we have another character who's a paraplegic in this film, who is constantly listens to dark organ music on vinyl. It just keeps looping. It's very, very interesting atmospheres here with the music. And of course, we are really, I would say, the most in that psychedelic nightclub that I was first exposed to in the first Stray Cat Rock film. And in most of them, we go to this same psychedelic 70s rock club. But in this particular case, we are really spending a lot more time there musically and with go-go dancers on this large type of stage over a stage on scaffolding that's just so hip, 70s cool, glitzy, awesome, the outfits, everything else. And the musicians at the club are really spectacular. I don't believe their name was in the credits, but the musicians here are just playing percussion with the keyboards and just doing wild songs and everything. Just really great 70s kind of psychedelic Japanese pop rock type of stuff. Really, really cool stuff. And of course, Miko gets, the girl on the cover here, she gets a credit for singing a song, which she does in this film as well. She seems to sing in most of the Stray Cat Rock films. If not all of them. And she's singing in this one, and it comes out of nowhere, and it just happens, and it's always moody, it's always emotional, it's always setting a tone, and it's always setting a tone at a juncture in the story as well. Now, something that I find really interesting about this film and the Stray Cat Rock films in general is that there really are no good guys. This is not a black and white type of film. Oh, you're good, you're evil. It's not like that at all. Things are more complex than that. And essentially, you are spending time with a bunch of bad guys in this film, but you are picking the lesser of two evils as you might start to root for the bad guys that are less bad than the other bad guys. And that is a very interesting, I mentioned in Sex Hunter, a world of violence. And it's something very interesting in this film. This film is not as violent as Sex Hunter and maybe the others. But the action is really intense in this film with the twists and the turns. Now, I gotta say, I mean, you're spending time with criminals. You're spending time with gangs. And at the same time, you will side with a gang that's better, has more heart, has more emotions. And, but essentially you're with criminals and likable criminals. Predominantly on the girl gang side. The girl gang is always the gang, is always the main gang. The style and the cinematography for this film is wild, and again, just like in every Stray Cat Rock film, I saw things stylistically with the cinematography that I have never seen before in a film. We got a lot of wild stuff in this film, a lot of artistically stylish, unbelievable stuff in this exploitation, crime, gang Japanese film, Yakuza film. So we have, at the beginning of the film and at the end of the film, we have stuff dealing, we have black invading a screen or cutting it up like a puzzle in a way that I've never seen before. In the opening credit sequence and at the end of the film, we also have horizontal split screen, utilizing multi-direction, somebody on the top going this way, somebody, and that is something you don't typically see. You typically see vertical split screens, not horizontal split screens. We also have a tactic in here that I've seen used in the other films, and boy, is it unbelievable. It is rapid fire editing, like clipping. It's almost like strobing, where you are, and it'll happen out of nowhere sometimes, and it'll be for effect, and it's really, really wild, and it's insane. It's like the fastest editing I've ever seen, and it's done in mixing what a character's thinking about, or mixing two characters or three characters, and it just flips. It's wild. Now, on the flip side of that, we also have a section in this film that has the slowest fades I've ever seen, where you can actually just keep seeing the kind of the byproduct of the previous scene just kind of keeps fading over and over again, and they just keep doing it over and over and over again. It was a very moody scene in the film, and we have another section in this film where a character's face just stays, and the fade is so slow that the character's face just stays there for a long period of time. We have a really interesting motif of blood in this film, but just like a splat of blood. There's a motif of that. When the characters are tripping on acid, LSD in this film, the main evidence of their tripping is blood, is seeing blood. and there is a splat of blood on a sidewalk that's a result of something that has happened, and the camera focuses on it. It's very, very interesting. Now, the violence in this film, you're not getting gore. You're getting, like I said, a little bit of blood, gunshots, some fights. It's really, it's not a terribly violent film at all, but it's in the emotional. I would call it emotional violence, because you're really spending time with characters, and when things go on with them, well, we have problems. There's also great hatred, and this is a film that has a lot of seedy criminal underbelly, and some great clubs. You get the psychedelic club. You also have another club with a great singer who drinks shots while she's singing. You can see him on the table, and she's involved in the story as well. You will see, if you've been watching the Stray Cat Rock films, you will see repeat characters throughout all of the films playing different roles. Each film stands completely on its own. Isn't that interesting? For the Stray Cat Rock series, so people are playing different characters. In this film, Miko is wearing the hat again, the black hat again, like she did in Sex Hunter. She has such an unbelievable presence, by the way, folks. Like, such an unbelievable presence. There's another girl in the gang who's wearing garters, so you have a little sexuality there. And a couple new girls in here, too, I think. Attractive girls. And Miko has such a presence about her. Her facial expressions, her eyes, the way she responds and speaks and talks. And there's a lot of fucks in this film, just like the other Stray Cat Rock films. There's a lot of fucks, as you'll see on the subtitles, and some English as well, as we're dealing with some racial, cultural issues with the white man and things like that, and the war. But Miko's presence, it really stands out. She is amazing, and she really is the focal point of this film as a character and as a presence on the film. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Machine Animal 1970 from the Stray Cat Rock series. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like Machine Animal. Where'd that title come from? You know what? I don't even know. But it's badass. Where did Sex Hunter come from? Don't know, but it's badass. This is, if you like 70s exploitation films dealing with crime and the seedy underbelly, and talk of rape and revenge and girl gangs, well, this one's for you. This is right before the Roman porno era, folks, and what we know is Pinky, per se. So this is it, Machine Animal. Thank you so much, folks, and feel free to check out the other Stray Cat Rock videos on here, and I have one more to go. It might happen next, or it might not happen next. It might happen in the future. Thank you so much, folks. Have a great night.